Throughout its lifetime, Fortnite has had lots of map changes. Being controversial or not, map changes have always been the key talking point in every debate of its players. Every map update brings more players to Fortnite, and more players in-game go to the updated parts of the map to explore what's new. Whether the update is returning us to the past or sending us to the future, it stays in the history books. Welcome to the history of the Fortnite map. The original Fortnite map had only 13 locations, from Pleasant Park's football field to the farm of Anarchy Acres, with amazing Loot Lake in the middle of them. The little city of Tomato Town was nearby, but much closer to the trees in Wailing Woods. One of the most popular locations in Fortnite history, Retail Row, existed in the original map, as well as Salty Springs and Fatal Fields. The forgotten swamp of Moisty Mire and Flush Factory were in this first map too. Lonely Lodge was pretty far away from other locations, but not so much as Greasy Grove. Last but not least, in the middle of the Battle Royale map was Dusty Depot. Only looking at the original map and comparing it to the Season 2 map, you can see a big difference. Season 2 map is in darker green theme. As Fortnite continued to grow up, more locations were added. Season 2 brought to us the biggest game changer in Fortnite history. In between Greasy Grove and Loot Lake, the birth was given to Tilted Towers. Ever since that moment, Fortnite hasn't been the same game as it was only a season before. It was the biggest city ever added to Fortnite, and it was the king of the map for a long time. It was the area with the most rooms, item chests, windows, and high-rise buildings. Shifty Shafts is the location south of Tilted Towers, also added in Season 2. Shifty Shafts is an underground mine shaft with drifts, cages, and trucks. It also has two houses that were commonly visited by players. Junk Junction is the northernmost named area on the map. Junk Junction is a small fenced-off scrapyard. In its walls, it contains piles of scrap metal and crushed cars. It contains two main buildings. The westernmost building contains stairs going into it, from ground level, as the building is slightly above ground level. This building also has access to its roof from stairs. On the roof of this building, there's also a wrecking ball. A private, wealthy neighborhood on the nearby shore with large luxury houses, pools, and a villa, called Snobby Shores, was added along with Haunted Hills. Haunted Hills is a cemetery with sheds, tombstones, a church, and a large haunted castle just on the hillside. The biggest and most obvious change of the Meteor event is the destruction of Dusty Depot and its reinvention into Dusty Divot. The meteor has hit and left a giant crater at the center of the map. Some time has passed between the two seasons, as there is now some kind of testing site for the leftover meteor debris. Risky Reels was a brand new location that was not created by the almighty meteor. There's a big focus on movie magic, and Rusty Reels seems to be the headquarters for all things filming. It's a drive-in theater complete with the big screen, eating areas, and even a small filming room. A new mansion was added to the east side of the map, southeast of Lonely Lodge. It's a nice addition that adds chests and loot to an area that was simply empty before. On the west side of the map, east of Snobby Shores, is a tall mountain. On the west side of the mountain is very cool lair that blends into the side of the cliff. To the west of Shifty Shafts are two buildings. One of them is a house, and the other is a medium-sized shack. As of the start of Season 4, this is no longer the case. While the house is still there, the shack has been updated into a two-story log cabin. Besides the giant crater that created Dusty Divot, several smaller craters have been left scattered across the map. A new desert biome was introduced, two new named locations were added, and a variety of smaller changes were implemented. What was once the swampy and empty lands of the southeastern corner of the map is now a bustling desert landscape with tall mountains, roads, and plenty of structures. The old racetrack became all-terrain kart. Paradise Palms, set in the center of the desert biome, became a new hotspot, despite its distance from the center of the map. There's a large apartment building with a nearby pool, while the rest of the town is filled with homes and a gas station. The farm known as Anarchy Acres is gone, and in its place is the new Lazy Links. This golf resort features several buildings, golf courses, tennis courts, and even a parking lot. Dusty Divot continued to see nature start to reclaim the giant crater. The entire crater is filled with giant trees, and the buildings within have been abandoned. The big mountain northwest of Greasy Grove and southeast of Snobby Shores got a big update this time around. Instead of the single house at the top, the entire top of the mountain has been transformed into a Vikings village. Risky Reels is back to normal, with the ground and paths restored and cars lined up ready to watch. Oddly, the giant wall for the screen still hasn't been repaired. A few new trucks have been spotted near Dusty Divot, specifically a truck with several wood pallets, 2 porta potties, a dumpster, and metal railings. The road that ends near Lucky Landing has a nice little gas station. Before the gas station is an old ghost town set higher up on a hill. The giant purple cube fell into Loot Lake and transformed the lake into a giant bouncy solid just before the start of Season 6. The cinematic for Season 6 shows the cube has reconstructed itself underneath the Loot Lake house. The cube pushed the house and surrounding area out of the ground and into the sky. The small crater left in the water is now a giant whirlpool. Mysterious runes from last season were not just for show. Gone is the low-gravity force field, and in its place is a desolate wasteland. It's not all doom and gloom, however, as the new shadow stones are scattered all about these zones. Haunted Hills got an update by having a massive castle placed on top of the hill that overlooks the spooky graveyard. The castle features several towers and plenty of new chests and ammo crate spawns. North of Lazy Links, towards the edge of the map, there's a small metal shack. Some time has passed and the corn at Fatal Fields has multiplied. Wailing Woods not only got its own corrupted zone, but it also gained 3 new cabins. These cabins were uniquely made for this area, as they are by far the biggest cabins in the game. The small shack at the center of the hedge maze received a huge upgrade. On the outside it looks fairly the same, but there's a hole leading underground beneath the shack. The building in the center of Tilted Towers was destroyed, and the hard workers of the Fortnite world spent over a season and a half to repair it into something better. Season 7 started, and the largest and most obvious change is the giant chunk of land now covered in snow. The entire southwestern portion of the map, lining up with the river and going all the way north to Tilted Towers, is now covered in ice and snow. Not only that, but the snowstorm seen in the distance during Season 6 has brought a new landmass, extending the map past Flush Factory. Polar Peak, the highest point in the snowy biome, is mostly a flat incline, with smaller castle-like structures here and there, including one at the very top of the peak. Frosty Flights, a landing strip for the new planes. 2 hangars can be explored along with a larger facility filled with offices and a control center. There's a tower and plenty of zip lines. Happy Hamlet, an adorable little winter town with over a dozen of buildings to explore. Several hills in the desert biome now have new assortments of junk on top of them. Not only do zip lines appear all across the map, new plane outposts are scattered about as well. All the corrupted zones have been greatly altered with shadow stones removed, the purple boost taken out, the corrupted trees and rocks missing, and new layer of grass. The fort made of wood in the northeastern corner of the map has finally seen a change since it was first introduced over a year ago. Instead of wood, the fort is made of bricks and features a new formation. The 2 houses east of Risky Reels have now turned into a mini airstrip. The 2 houses west of Risky Reels and near the river are now abandoned and dilapidated. It's Season 8, and a jungle area now covers the northeastern portion of the map, and many named locations have drastically changed. The southern house at Snobby Shores has received both an upgrade and a downgrade. The actual home is now in ruins, with holes leading straight into the underground bunker. The garage and wooden tower have been taken over by a Viking clan with wooden spikes out front, and a new interior. The center building in Tilted Towers is nearing completion. The largest and most obvious change is the massive volcano sitting amidst the giant chunk of land now set in the jungle. Gone are Wailing Woods, Tomato Temple, and Lazy Links, and in is Lazy Lagoon. The entire northeastern portion of the map is now a jungle biome, featuring tall trees, uneven terrain, and several tropical-themed locations. And there's also a gigantic volcano right in the center of it all. 3 named locations took a hit with this volcanic update. The first is Lazy Links, which got removed. Wailing Woods was another one to be removed. Tomato Town can still be visited, but it no longer retains its named location status. The block has moved from its location in the northeast to a spot in the northwest, crushing the motel in the process. Lazy Lagoon adds a little more water to the map, but it also brings a small port town and cool pirate ship. The area isn't the largest, but it certainly gives the map a little more variety. Sunny Steps is a series of Aztec-inspired temples. Pirates have taken over 7 abandoned locations across the map. Season 9 brought us huge updates to iconic locations. Tilted Towers is now called Neo-Tilted. The buildings are now clad in a futuristic mix of purple lights and grayish metal. Although the outward appearance of the buildings has changed, the layout is more or less the same as it once was. Retail Row has been replaced with Mega Mall, a tale that is all too familiar to many small towns around the world. What was once a tiny set of stores has now become a much more modern mall. Junk Junction has had some minor changes, the most notable of which is a portion of the old Tilted Towers clock tower resting in the scrapyard. The pressure plant has been constructed in a volcano's crevice. Some plants have begun to grow at Loot Lake. Nothing in the Fortnite map ever truly stays the same, and we may see the location restored to its former glory. If you like this video, double pump that like button. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. We'll see you in the next Double Pump Fortnite video. See ya!